A big hello and welcome back to the channel to both my subscribers. Today's video is going to be about my impressions of the first few weeks of Battle for Azeroth, as well as a quick update on me and or my channel. For the Battle for Azeroth impressions, I'm going to cover three major areas: leveling, story, and gearing. But before I do that, I got to get into some disclaimers. I did not play WoW hardcore during the first week of release, nor am I playing super hardcore right now. My gameplay can be described mostly as that of a filthy casual. In my defense, though, my mom has been visiting from California since a few days before launch, and I've got a day job and teenage daughters that I have to pay just enough attention to so they don't grow up to be strippers. You know, normal stuff. My next disclaimer is a little bit of a bigger pill to swallow, I guess you could say, is though I said I had decided to main a warlock, yeah, that didn't end up happening. I know a lot of people, including leadership in my guild, have insisted that I play what I like, you know, as long as it's DPS, since we're good on tanks and heals. But when I discovered that our raid group had three other warlocks and no mages, I made a decision to do what was best for the raid. As much as I like playing a warlock and being somewhere in the middle of the DPS charts, I do like to down bosses and progress in raiding. My team needs people who can learn fights, you know, rather quickly, that don't stand in shit and do somewhat good DPS all the while. They know that I, as a player, can check all those boxes and that trying to recruit someone is a kind of roll of the dice. So for that reason, I decided to main a mage. So I level up as fire. I have played the other specs, and they haven't really interested me that much, but I can play them if needed. I find fire to be the most fun to play because it's like very bursty, and you know, it's fun reactive play style. I like being the guy you can rely on to take down priority ads. Also, I like the idea of bringing some utility. You know, as a mage, I can bring arcane intellect, which is huge. Yeah, I know inscription can do a scroll that is almost as good but isn't as good. Also, as a mage, I bring time warp, which is pretty much a necessity. I believe we have a shaman or shaman healer in our healer rotation, but you know, it's having redundancies is pretty much mandatory. Fire was the spec that I, you know, really wanted to play, and I like it for a lot of reasons, but right now it's just the DPS isn't there. There's probably gonna be some tuning, and when there is tuning, I am going to go back to fire. But as it stands right now, in the last couple days or so, I have switched over to arcane, and I've got like a 4 to 5k DPS increase because of it. But yeah, another thing about that I like about mages is they have a little bit more utility or mobility, I should say, which I'm not really super used to, but I'm loving it. Shimmer is great. I also like not having shimmer and having just a regular blink, so you can get out of stuns and things like that. But two blinks is, I guess, still pretty good. And also having portals. Portals is definitely something that's proven to be invaluable when in various forms of content and being able to make food and all this stuff. So yeah, mages are great. So that's it for my big disclaimer there. Another update to the channel is that I'm going to be making some more videos more regularly. I've kind of been playing the game right now, and I'm going to be raiding next week for sure. But yeah, there will be more videos. Also, last week I, by some small miracle, managed to get tickets to BlizzCon. So yeah, I've been trying for 4 years to get tickets to BlizzCon and have come up with a big old goose egg every time. And it's super frustrating. And I thought for sure when they did the previous round of sales and I wasn't able to get tickets, I had pretty much given up on it. But then they opened a new round of sales and I got in, and I was super thrilled. So me and my youngest daughter are going to go to BlizzCon. She's real big into Overwatch. So my other kids, they got to go on various trips with school and stuff, and she was feeling kind of left out. So yeah, she scored a big win being able to go to BlizzCon. So we're going to be going to BlizzCon. I'll probably give more updates on stuff like that as we get closer to that date. But that being said, let's jump into my impressions of Battle for Azeroth. So I play Alliance, and I have to say the leveling experience was pretty good. Playing casually, I managed to level to 120 in about 4 days. I played through the major storylines in each of the 3 zones. I did a few side quests, but not really too many. After I finished all the main storylines, I did the war campaign and hit 120 before I finished all of it. The experience was pretty good. There were fun references to the Wicker Man, Winnie the Pooh, The Simpsons, the Aurora Borealis, and plenty of others. A lot of the experience and the process, I should say, only felt slow to me because my guildies were blazing past me because they were spending considerably more time playing than me. But that's okay. I felt like I played at a pace that was enjoyable. Now, on to the story. I thought the story was good in most areas, but a little bit lacking in others. I started off in Drustavar, then Stormsong Valley, and then finished with Tiragard Sound. Drustavar is awesome. Drustavar had good flow, interesting stories, and was overall enjoyable. I'd venture to say it was my favorite my favorite zone. Stormsong was good as well. I felt like the zone didn't really flow as well as Drustafar, but it was still pretty good. They took you to a certain point in the map, though, and then the story just kind of like spread out in several different directions. If I hadn't played it as much on the beta, I probably would have had a hard time figuring out which storyline was the essential main storyline to the quests and where was the right place to go to the quests to finish up the storyline for the zone. So the quests were good, and I would say that they were integral to the overall story for the Alliance, and would say they were just good in general. Tiragard Sound was an interesting zone. Some of the quests were fun and funny, but I felt like some of them got a little bit silly. Freehold is not my favorite dungeon. Lots of the quests felt disjointed and were a bit confusing. I suppose the fact that I did it last was and I was kind of like itching to get to 120 might have contributed to my feelings with the zone, but I think it could have been done a little bit better. I did like the fact that the zone culminated with the Jaina story, which was pretty amazing. So yeah, I haven't done the Horde storyline yet, so I'm not going to say, oh, one side is better than the other, but I'd have to say it did feel more story-based overall. It felt like everything kind of connected together, whereas in Legion it felt like there was several different completely separate and just loosely related stories for each zone you're in. So I like the feel of the zones and the story, and it made the leveling process better for me anyway. So yeah. Moving on though to gearing, gearing's been pretty good, albeit frustrating at some points. Even with my casual play, I want to say I've got to about a 330 item level right now. I managed to get to 7 item levels in the last week or so, and I'm right now I'm at the point where I'm pretty much ready for raiding, but I still have some things I want to get. Like the things I found the hardest to upgrade are weapons. They just never seem to drop from heroics, mythics. Any world quests are few and far between. There was one. I have a higher level wand right now, and that's only by virtue of the fact that it was a reward from doing an emissary cache. And so yeah, I've done a few mythics with guildies, and we managed to down them. They weren't too hard, but they were hard enough to where the challenge was fun. And I think that's one of the best things about an expansion is the newness to stuff still being a challenge. It becomes tedious when you're going through a dungeon and it's so easy that the whole point of the dungeon is just to see how much DPS you can do. That's kind of part of doing dungeons, but for me, I would rather be dead last in DPS, but I got that final boss down to finish the dungeon, or I killed that ad that saved the healer so we could res the rest of the people that had died. Success as a team is more important than individual achievement, at least for me anyway. But so yeah, the stuff's fun. World quests have been a good source of upgrades, and I'm finding that I will get an upgrade as far as item level, but maybe it's not what is the word I'm looking for? It's not set to have the stats that I need for my particular spec. So the next day or 2 days later, I'll find the same piece of gear, like say some gloves, right? They have crit and versatility or mastery and versatility stats I don't really need so much, and then a couple days I'll get them and it's a big upgrade, but they're not really itemized, I guess you'd say, for my spec. So then a few days later there'll be some gloves that are pretty much the same item level or maybe a little bit higher, but they are itemized for my spec, and so it's not a huge upgrade, but it affects DPS, and I think that's kind of good that you can keep doing that. Plus being able to scrap stuff is fun too, and the world quests I think are a little bit better. I don't feel like they're forced, and I don't feel like I absolutely have to do them, and I feel like I'm at a point right now where doing them is still meaningful. I don't know if this is going to hold true in the coming weeks once we start getting raid gear and mythic plus gear. So yeah, I've been getting most of what I've needed. The one thing that I'm not getting, I just even though I keep getting these small upgrades, I just need to get a better. Well, I got the better weapon. I just need to get the better offhand now. I mean, I've got I want to say like a 335 or 345 wand, and I had to buy a 300 offhand from the auction house because I got desperate. I was rocking a 277 for ridiculously long time, but yeah. Well, that's going to do it for this video. Which class have you / are you leveling, and how has your experience been? Let me know in the comments section. If you want to see more impression videos like this, subscribe and hit the bell. Every time a bell rings, a YouTube algorithm for demonetization glitches. If you like this video, hit the like button like the Horde hit me when I forgot to turn off war mode after hitting level 120. And I'll see you next time.